Hey Neppers, it's me, Wild Neptune. Today, I will talk about the current state of World Arena and how a particular unit type is rapidly disappearing from the meta. What is it? Well, you can find out right after you like, comment, subscribe on this video. Thanks for watching. Now, let's get going. Alright, so it's been a while since I made a video, and that's largely because I'm having a lot of fun playing the game. Now, I do want to talk about the current season and overall the state of the game, but I did want to specifically hone in on this one point for this video, as it's something I don't feel like a lot of people have talked about or really recognize, I'd say, is happening. And that is the death of the Bruiser in Epic 7. At least as far as World Arena goes. Now, this is not to say that Bruisers are not picked anymore, because they are, but they are used in much different ways. The Bruiser draft, as it was like way back in like season 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, back then, is gone. And I think no other thing is more pertinent or more telling of this than the death of a certain unit, which would be APOC Ravi, who for a long time was the premier bruiser in Epic 7. High health, good damage, had a nice mechanic where she could revive a unit too. An overall very powerful unit to have. In the current meta though, not really that good, for a lot of reasons, and one of the reasons is that the bruiser slot is just very weak as a unit that doesn't really do anything but be a bruiser. Units now have to have very specific roles if they want to get picked mechanically. So all the bruisers right now that are picked basically have a very specific thing that they do for their team, right? So look at units like, say, Urban Shadow Shu. Picked sometimes because of her injury. And she's not even like the best unit in the world, but she's viable in some cases because of how strong her kit is. Riveroo. Picked because of Anti-Godly Lilius. Now, I have seen, you know, Riveroo pop up more and more. He might be like, I would say, the premier bruiser overall, although some of the builds I've seen on him are kind of weird, right? And those are the two bruisers, you know, for the most part, that don't really have extreme RNG mechanics into them, like say Candy, that are picked, right? And again, it's because they have very specific things they do for their team. I guess you can count Lionheart too as the bruiser, but again, she does something very specific for her team, in that she counters the counter-attackers, right? Which is very strong right now in the current meta. Now, the reason why this has happened, why have bruisers as like a playstyle and as like a standalone type unit have basically vanished from the game, right? Because like, you think about it, like other bruisers, like besides APOC Ravi, used to have things like, say, Red Ravi. She used to be very good. Or say, Blue Shoe. She used to be good too. Or say, Green Landy. She also used to be good. You know, and all units that were primarily built, at least for the most part, on bruiser builds. Look at units like, say, Red Charlotte and stuff like that. Other units like, say, Mercedes, Bruiser Milam, right? You had, you know, a lot of things like that, which were overall powerful and definitely viable to pick in RTA. But these days, it's just kind of not. But will why have bruisers, or at least their bruiser playstyle, largely vanished from the game? Well, think about this. Cleave/aggro, they've gotten a lot of tools in the past. Ran, Caesarea, Cavill, Reckon Rowana, units like that. Control, they've gotten a lot of good units in the past. AOL, DDR, Solitaria, P-Flan. Takedown, they've gotten great things in the past. ML Landy, MLU Fiend, a Tywin, Rocket Punch, you know, the artifact. Okay? What has Bruisers gotten? Like, as a defining, like, playstyle type unit. What have they gotten? Nothing. Bruisers that are picked again right now are picked as tech choices / counter picks to what the enemy is doing, never as a proactive type choice. And in most places in the current RTA, forever, being proactive in your choices was almost always better than being reactive. And this is a problem with Bruisers right now, because even though some Bruisers are arguably pretty strong, like Urban Shadow Shu, in the right draft situation is a very strong unit. Rimuru, in the right draft situation, is a very strong unit. Because they are reactive picks and not things that you can just kind of slam down, it's like, in the first two picks, you can just slam down an aggro unit like Silius. You can just slam down a aggro type cleanse unit like Moonbuddy. You can just slam down a speed unit like Zeo, right? You can just slam down a tank down unit like AU Fiend. You can't just slam down Apop. You can't just slam down Shu. And it's because they don't really add to your draft unless the enemy team is doing something that makes them valuable. And this is true for almost, I would say, every single Bruiser in the entire game. Because, like, yes, some units are only good. It's an instance, like MLK, right? There are definitely units that you just pick them, and they're just good. Knockwall, a lot of cases, even if it's only like one counterattack type unit, it's still okay to pick them probably. It's like Savior Aiden. Yeah, she has counters now, right? But still probably a really good pick in most circumstances. It's just that the first picks have become so centralizing in determining how you want to fight in the meta that it leaves very little room for anything else. If you are going with like a Zeo, you are probably going much more aggressive overall. If you're going with, say, a MLU Fiend or a ML Landy, you're probably going much more tankier. And anything else is going to, fall into that draft line. Now, things change in a draft, right? There's still a lot of units to be picked. But for the most part, you don't really consider units like, say, Charlotte, like Apoc Ravi, Blue Shu, right? Like, the mainstays of the past are just kind of dead. And that's a real shame, because there are a lot of cool units that should be used in the game, big unit pool, but they just aren't because of the way that balancing has happened and the way that Smilegate has decided to buff and not nerf, and also the types of kits that are being released, where new kits have to, in some way, counteract like the current kits right now so that we actually pull on the units. In the future, there might be a unit that's really, really, really good against like counterattack, or maybe a unit that deactivates extra damage, something like that. Where like Rocket Punch no longer works. Those will probably be on not Bruisers. They'll probably be on like Knights, right, or Soul Weavers. I don't know, something like that, right? But they won't be on Bruisers, or maybe they will, right? Maybe Smilegate will actually make some of these new units be Bruisers. Very specific in their application, can't pick them all the time, but maybe that's just like where Bruisers are going to be now. Maybe Bruisers are just dead as a style, and they're only going to be tech choices from here on out. Anyway, that's really all I have for this video. This is kind of important to me, as I believe I was one of the premier Bruiser type players in the game in the early days, and now it just feels really bad that I can't really play one of my favorite styles because it's just really not that good. Anyway, leave your comments down below on what you think is the state of RTA. Do you think bruisers are actually dead, or can they make a comeback? Leave your comments down below. I, Wild Neptune, it's been a good one. Nep out.